So walking through Dollar Tree is obviously super exciting now, considering that everything's $1.25 instead of, you know, $1 like it's supposed to be. But it's even more exciting now because my initial thought was that they had things like steaks and like little pork chops and stuff like that, but they don't have that anymore. It's a little bit upsetting because I thought it was just going to be easy. I was going to do like a cheesesteak or something, you know, but it didn't work out like that. So walking around, I was in the dry goods and canned stuff, and for some reason I was thinking about fish stew, which is also known as bouillabaisse. It's really a very complex kind of dish, and I'm definitely not going to do it justice based off the ingredients I got, but I'm going to get something, I guess. I don't know, I may get, you know, slaughtered in the comments from like actual chefs who are just like, get the f out of here with that shit. This isn't real, but we'll see. I'm just going to call it a fish stew for now. Yeah, if you're offended by what I'm about to do, I don't know, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Maybe I'll offend you some more later on. Let's get started and see what happens. So in reality, I kind of just wanted to start with some like basic flavors. I got some chopped onion, garlic powder, thyme, and some parsley just to kind of finish up what I'm making. But what really caught my interest was this box of chicken broth that I was just kind of like, yeah, it's probably not going to be good for me. It's probably got some bullshit in it. Yeah, it definitely does. But it's what made me come to a soup or stew. So I'm just going to go ahead and be okay with it. Hope you are too. And finally, I needed some protein, and they had the obvious like deli ham and hot dogs, and they actually had some bacon and breakfast sausage and stuff like that too, but it just didn't make sense in a soup, so I picked up some pink salmon, some herring fillets, and a can of sardines and some Louisiana hot sauce. Like, this is what's going to give it that real good flavor, or at least I hope it does, and if not, I guess I'll survive. Oh God, what did I do? What is wrong with me? Let's just make a dish. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is I put some ghee in here, and I want to see if I can get these onion flakes, this chopped onion, if I can get these kind of caramelized and going and hydrated, and then I want to throw some of the garlic powder on there to see if I can get that to be kind of a roasted flavor and get that going. Which they are dehydrated already, so it might not get any more than what it is. I think I'm just going to throw a splash of water in here too. There we go. Oh, I should have used the broth. Oh well. I'll let the water cook off. So I'm gonna let these hydrate a little bit. Maybe they'll turn into like an actually decent texture. But they did get some pretty good color very quickly, which I'm pretty happy about. And it kind of smells really good in here already. I'm gonna take just a small pinch of salt, throw that on there. Let that get a little bit thickened. Let's go with a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and get that cooked up in there. It looks like caramelized onions already. Damn, it actually looks pretty good. All right, they're starting to stick to the pan a little bit, so I'm just gonna kind of put probably 2 cups of this broth, start getting it reducing. And the broth itself is way saltier than I expected. Usually when you get broth in a box, it's never really seasoned that much, but this one is quite seasoned. All right, to this, I'm gonna add just a little pinch of thyme, probably like 1/8 of a teaspoon. And I don't think I'm gonna add any salt to this because all this fish is quite preserved. And I'm worried that by the time this reduces and builds its flavor, it'll be very salty. So we'll have to wait and find out. Go ahead and crack open these sardines. I think I'm gonna get this hot sauce in here. It's gonna add a little bit of acidity. Go ahead and get some of that fishy flavor in there. And I think for the sardines, I'm gonna place these in at the very end because I don't want them to break up and get all weird. But to this, I'm going to add just a little bit of smoked paprika. If you don't have this, I don't think it's gonna be that necessary, but I think it will help a lot in the depth of flavor. Probably about a 1/2 teaspoon of that. Woo, it smells fishy in here. Let's give this a little precursory taste, see how it is so far. Smoky, fishy. The hot sauce really didn't come through at all. So since that's not coming through, I'm going to add just a little touch of this Louisiana that I have. And since this fish is already cooked, it's kind of, you don't want to put it in there and let it cook more because it's just going to get more and more dry. So I'm going to get this reduced and we'll be right back to see what else we're going to do to it. So to this, I'm going to go ahead and add my herring. This is actually very salty, but so I'm glad I didn't add any salt to it. It's going to flake it up and throw it in there. It's almost got a smoky flavor to it as well, so the smoked paprika should complement this pretty well. So the whole thing in there. Plop, plop. Get that broken up a little bit. Next up, I'm going to throw some of this barely pink salmon. As you can see, it's very cooked out pink. Get that in there too, since it's already flaked up. I did drain all of these, by the way, so if you're going to do this, I suggest draining it. Get that stirred up. And finally, what I'm going to do with these is just put them into the bowl and then pour this over it so these don't have to break down. I want to be able to just kind of pick these up with a spoon, like push through it and pick up a piece, instead of having it, you know, just all weird in here. And I suppose what you could also do is kind of fry these up, but I'm not really feeling that right now since it's in a soup. Let's just get these in the bowl and pour up some food. All right, gonna take these sardines, place them in there like this. These are actually pretty damn big. I'm going to carefully scoop up some of this stew into the bowl. Kind of want to scatter the other fish chunks around. All right, it's looking all right. Once I added the broth to it. All right, that looks much better already. Okay, I think that's good. If I had a lemon wedge, or if I could buy a lemon there, I definitely would have. I should have just got one. But at least I got some parsley to give it a little bit of color, even though it's very, very dry and pale. Gonna crack over just a little bit of black pepper. And that's our dish. A nice fake bouillabaisse, missing basically every ingredient in a bouillabaisse. But like I said, I'm just gonna call this good old fish stew, so semantics and whatnot. It looks a lot better than I thought it would, considering how it looked in the pan. But let's just give this a little taste. Alright, my initial thoughts are that this definitely needs lemon, but since I get the hot sauce sardines, it almost takes place of it a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see what it tastes like without that. A little more acidity in this would help it a ton. Like just the broth itself. If you want to make something like this, and you don't have to go to Dollar Tree obviously, but if you want to make something like this, I suggest you get in some sort of, you can get a vinegar or lemon juice really is what would be really good in this, or even lime juice would be good in this. But surprisingly, it actually works pretty well. It's got an interesting flavor. It's got a little bit of depth to it since I cooked those onions. I might actually finish this. I didn't come into this thinking that this would actually be like good, but it's actually pretty good. But anyways, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you find yourself at Dollar Tree, maybe you can make something like this. If you do make some weird stuff at Dollar Tree, please send me a picture. I'd love to post it on Instagram. Suggest me some places down below in the comments to tell me where to do this at. I'm still enjoying doing this. This has been a fun experience so far. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon. It's $5 a month. Links in the description as well. And I'll see y'all in the next one.